Maybe the worst is yet to come, or maybe the worst has already happened. These protests, these riots rather, in Minneapolis that have led to the deaths, the unnecessary deaths of different people. I think it might be coming to an end. Yeah, the Trump administration is truly cracking down on it. And Governor Tim Walz, as well as Mayor Frey, they're kind of surrendering to President Trump. This is phenomenal news. We might actually have some unity for once, and the unnecessary deaths might come to an end. We're going to take a look at a couple different things in this video. So all I ask in return is for you guys to hit the like button and subscribe. And without further ado, let's get right into it. Starting off with the fact that FBI Director Kash Patel says that the funders of the Minneapolis protests have actually been identified. That's friggin' huge news. Then you got President Trump that is saying that our trade deals are very important to America. In each of these deals, we have acted swiftly to reduce our tariffs in line with the transaction agreed to. We, of course, expect our trading partners to do the same. South Korea's legislator is not living up to its end of the deal, and that's why we're increasing tariffs on autos for lumber, pharma, and other reciprocal tariffs from 15% to 25%. Thank you for your attention to this matter. In addition to that, President Trump says, I am pleased to report that Venezuela is releasing its political prisoners at a rapid rate, which rate will be increasing over the coming short period of time. I'd like to thank the leadership of Venezuela for agreeing to this powerful humanitarian gesture. President Donald J. Trump. My goodness, man, he's getting so much done today. Then you have this groundbreaking announcement. President Trump says, I just had a very good telephone conversation with Mayor Jacob Frey of Minneapolis. Lots of progress is being made. Tom Homan will be meeting with him tomorrow in order to continue the discussion. Thank you for your attention to this matter. And that's to be stacked on top of this one right here, where Governor Tim Walz called me with the request to work together with respect to Minnesota. It was a very good call, and we actually seem to be on similar wavelengths. I told Governor Walz that I would have Tom Homan call him, and that what we are looking for any and all criminals that they have in their possession. The governor very respectfully understood that and will be speaking with him in the near future. He was happy that Tom Homan was going to Minnesota, and so am I. We have such tremendous success in Washington, D.C., Memphis, Tennessee, and New Orleans, Louisiana, and virtually every other place that we have touched, and even in Minnesota. Crime is way down, but both Governor Walz and I want to make it better. Man, this is getting wild. President Trump is getting so much done today. And then a reporter goes and tries to attack, I guess, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt, and she just claps back. Have a listen.
Thanks a lot, Caroline. Two questions. One is looking forward. The role of Mr. Homan, is he being sent by the president to diffuse the situation that exists right now on the ground? Is he the point person essentially for the White House in terms of trying to tamp down the tensions that exist right now in Minnesota?
Well, Mr. Homan is the point person for cooperating with state and local authorities and corresponding with them, again, to achieve this level of cooperation to subdue the chaos on the streets of Minneapolis. And I would just point out that Mr. Homan is someone who has been lauded for many, many decades for his experience working in law enforcement. In fact, this is a Washington Post headline from 9 years ago, 2016. Meet the man the White House has honored for deporting illegal immigrants. And I would remind everyone in this room that it was former President Barack Hussein Obama who awarded a medal to Mr. Homan. So he's obviously very qualified. He has the full trust and faith of the president. He will continue to have these meetings in the hopes that ICE and local law enforcement can cooperate and work together to have successful immigration enforcement, as we've seen in almost every other state across the country.
I guess the left can't really say anything about that, right? They can't really say, oh, well, Homan is this and that, because, I mean, they literally glorified him under Barack Hussein Obama. So using their own medicine against them, you gotta love it. But that's not the only awesome clip from Caroline Leavitt this evening. Let's have a listen.
The president president supports the Second Amendment rights of law-abiding American citizens. Absolutely. There has been no greater supporter or defender of the right to bear arms than President Donald J. Trump. So while Americans have a constitutional right to bear arms, Americans do not have a constitutional right to impede lawful immigration enforcement operations. And any gun owner knows that when you are carrying a weapon, when you are bearing arms, and you are confronted by law enforcement, you are raising the assumption of risk and the risk of force being used against you. And again, that's unfortunately what took place on Saturday.
Wow. I mean, that's very well laid out.
What the president is referring to is the fact that you have Governor Walz and, again, the mayor, who have been encouraging these left-wing agitators to come out and to harass and to dox and to threaten ICE and to make this conversation about and smear lies about federal law enforcement who, again, are just trying to do their jobs in an attempt to distract from the widespread, massive fraud that has taken place in their state. Billions and billions of dollars has been stolen from law-abiding taxpayers in Minnesota, and the administration continues to be very focused on getting to the bottom of it, especially, and the president raised a good question over the weekend with respect to Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, who now has a net worth within the millions, and one must ask themselves why and how is that possible? Is she connected to the fraud rings that we have seen taking place within her state and her own district? It's a question the American people are raising, and the president believes it's one worth answering.
Yeah, I mean, they should absolutely continue this criminal investigation into Ilhan Omar. The net worth skyrocketing to where it is now doesn't make any sense at all. Not on her salary.
I would also like to address the chaotic scenes in Minnesota over the weekend. Nobody in the White House, including President Trump, wants to see people getting hurt or killed in America's streets. This includes Renee Good, Alex Preddy, the brave men and women of federal law enforcement, and the many Americans who have been victimized at the hands of illegal alien criminals. Saturday's shooting remains under active investigation by Homeland Security Investigations and the FBI. The Customs and Border Protection is also conducting their own internal review. As President Trump said yesterday, the administration is reviewing everything with respect to the shooting, and we will let that investigation play out. But let's be clear about the circumstances which led to that moment on Saturday. This tragedy occurred as a result of a deliberate and hostile resistance by Democrat leaders in Minnesota. For weeks, Governor Walz and the Mayor Jacob Fry and other elected Democrats were spreading lies about federal law enforcement officers who are risking their lives daily to remove the worst criminal illegal aliens from our streets: murderers, rapists, pedophiles, human traffickers, and gang members. Governor Walz and Mayor Fry have shamefully blocked local and state police from cooperating with ICE, actively inhibiting efforts to arrest violent criminals. They have also used their platforms to encourage left-wing agitators to stalk, record, confront, and obstruct federal officers who are just trying to lawfully perform their duties, which has created...
Yeah, you've never seen this type of behavior before. These people that are like these politicians in the media that are somehow now against, right? They're like for blocking ICE agents. They're against law enforcement conducting their jobs peacefully. You never see them say, hey, you know what? Next time you get pulled over for a traffic violation, why don't you just speed off? Why don't you just try to run the cop over? Why don't you stand up for your rights of not getting tickets? Like, you don't see that type of rhetoric or that behavior because it's insane. It's nonsense. Yet here they are, they've been getting away with it. And it's actually kind of nice that you have the mayor and the governor that are surrendering to President Trump and willing to work with him, because this shit has to stop. We've seen how bad it gets. Nobody wants to see it get worse. Nobody wins if and when it gets worse.
Dangerous situations threatening both these officers and the general public and Minnesotans alike. This is precisely what unfolded in Minneapolis on Saturday morning. Obstructing federal law enforcement and inciting violence against officers is wrong and illegal. This used to be a universally accepted position in the United States. Amid the hysteria, we must remember how we got here to this moment today and what this Democrat opposition is about. Former President Joe Biden and the Democrats opened America's borders for 4 years, inviting tens of millions of illegal aliens from all over the world to flood into our country. Among them, violent criminals who terrorized American communities and have inflicted devastating, permanent pain and harm on law-abiding Americans and their families. Yet we never saw outrage from Democrats or their allies in the liberal media over these horrifying crimes against U.S. citizens. The pain of American angel families was ignored and dismissed because it undermined the Democrat narrative. Innocent Americans like Jocelyn Nungray, Laken Riley, and Rachel Morin are just a few of the many victims savagely murdered by illegal alien criminals. Earlier this month, an illegal alien from Mexico with a long criminal history who came into our country under Joe Biden's administration threw a baseball-sized stone at a school bus carrying children in New Jersey and fractured the skull of an 8-year-old innocent child. President Trump promised accountability to these American families by securing the border, deporting every illegal alien who has committed crimes, especially and most importantly, violent crimes. Nearly 80 million Americans voted for him to deliver on that very promise, and he is. As the duly elected president, the president is fulfilling the will of the people by arresting and removing these threats from our country in cities from Los Angeles to New York and, yes, Minneapolis. Yet Democrat leaders in Minnesota with sanctuary city policies have actively defied federal immigration law and the will of the people. And as a result of that defiance, 2 Minnesotans have now tragically lost their lives on the streets of Tim Walz's state. It is President Trump's hope and wish and demand for the resistance and chaos to end today.
Wow. I mean, this is all very good news. It seems like maybe the craziness could actually be fizzling out. And usually things during the week seem to die down just a little bit with the riots in Minneapolis. But maybe by the weekend, there's already been some change in rhetoric by the mayor as well as the governor. And hopefully we don't have another cuckoo week and cuckoo weekend. That's the video though, ladies and gentlemen. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. If you haven't yet already, I'd like to encourage you guys to hit the like, subscribe, and I'll see you in another one. Bye for now. Enjoy your evening.